Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. Doing business and life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated as well to make an impact in your world. My guest is going to blow your mind. I say that all the time, but this is going to be incredible. Her energy and what she does is just off the charts. But while you're listening to her today, I want you to think about who you're going to serve today and how, and what impact will you create today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Let's do the service and have a servant's heart today. Let's start that momentum and get it going. I want to thank my sponsor, pitchdb.com. Be a guest in over 3 million podcasts. Speak at over 18,000 conferences and much more. Think about building your thought leader platform with an incredible opportunity to show who you are. With that being said, impact comes in many forms and packages, but we need to make impact. And as I say, your world, let's start there. Had a great conversation with a guy yesterday, and so many people want to change the world, want to change this. We can't do that. We're not Elon Musk or Bill Gates. I'm not being political here. We don't have that kind of power, and we shouldn't. But take care of your word and make an impact. And this person today is making a huge impact. I want to thank Lindsay to our podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. What a lovely introduction. And I'm so excited to talk to you today.
This is going to be great. Let's talk impact. What do you think the impact you make?
You know, probably the number one thing is that I support Imaginals to create what they know in their heart is worthy of creating, but maybe don't know the first step or can't quite figure out how to get the right resources to do it.
I like that. Let's get into Imaginals.
Let's get into it.
Never heard that word. Is it a word in the dictionary now?
It is. It's been there for a while, and how it came to be was, I think it was for me in my high school biology class, we were studying butterflies and how caterpillars become a butterfly. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening with that process, which is very natural, and it's the way it works for pretty much all moths and caterpillars, they hear the call and they go to create their cocoon, and they literally go into this cocoon stage. And when they're in the cocoon phase, they liquefy completely. Everything about the caterpillar comes undone. And it's the first cells that come together, that find each other, that start to begin to form the butterfly. So the Imaginals have to come together in order to create the new world that we all know is possible, because if they don't, we stay a liquefied goo that's coming undone. And everyone can see that in the world today, things are coming undone everywhere. Yeah. And it's the Imaginals who have dreams and visions, and they need to find one another in order to build this butterfly world that we're aiming towards. So that's really where it came from for me, was to say there are living human Imaginals right now who are struggling to find one another and to find the right steps and the way to go about it so that they can make the world that we know is possible for humanity.
So they're actually turned into liquid. Their bodies, cells turn into liquid. I never knew that. 62 years, you always learn something. Always. That's very interesting. Yeah. I got to check a video. I could check out a video on that. I'm sure there's videos.
I'm sure there's plenty of them. I think I saw one in my 9th grade, biology class.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's interesting. That's what your business, and what you do. Why do you love it so much? It's so interesting.
Let me get from 9th grade biology to how I circled back all the way to the Imaginal conversation. So my entire career, for whatever reason, I was guided to be in the houses of leaders. And my master's degree, by the time I was 29 years old, was focused on leadership and what does it take to be a really good leader. And it turns out that in my research project and so forth, back then, it just kept going and growing. And what I know is that no matter how many good ideas we have, if somebody isn't willing to lead, it doesn't matter. Nothing will get done. It just doesn't go anywhere. So I spent my entire career coaching, mentoring, and building companies through Imaginals, through people. And all of that led me to this time in my life where I turned basically 55 and said, you know what? I feel like it's time for me to be another Imaginal. And I heard the call. And the call was around kindness, and that kindness is the way. So my whole mission now has turned me into an Imaginal. I still help others when they show up, but the way in which I'm installing the culture into companies and everything I do is all around kindness. And how do we be more kind?
So you kind of a culture coach. I'm probably not saying
Yes.
the right description. You
That's a
come
great
into a
word.
company, their culture, usually a company's not doing well. The culture's one of the main culprits besides sales and all that. So you walk into a company,
Yep.
you're Imaginal.
Yep.
What's the first thing that you do?
Listen. The first thing you got to find out is what's coming undone, because it's leadership that will Imaginals lead. They are by nature leaders. They feel, they intuit a calling, a reason, a something that needs to be better. And oftentimes in organizations, it's not always the founder, CEO, or management team who hears the call. They're still buried in a lot of things going on around the company, and it's not them. So it's about listening for where are the Imaginals? What is coming undone? Where are the opportunities for process to be shifted or changed, or even vision to be adjusted so that the business can get back on track? So that's what I do typically when installing new company culture. Mm-hmm.
So in the audience, there's a owner out there going, okay, Lindsay, this is all great and stuff, but I need sales.
Yeah.
We're in debt. We're struggling here.
Yeah.
How can this help my sales?
That's a great question too. I think part of it is that you have to really connect with your customers. And one of the things that happens when a caterpillar moves to a butterfly is that its friends that were caterpillars kind of by default fade away a little bit, and you have to know how to behave in butterfly world. So what I would say is take a look at who you're selling to, and has your market shifted? Is there a new group that you are more relevant to today than you were, say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago? I can tell you it's true for me. I was almost exclusively working with, I'll say 20 to 30 somethings. Now I'm working with 40 and 50 somethings. They're wanting to undo what they did and start again and do it a new way. And that takes a lot. It takes a lot of self-awareness and a lot of, moxie to be an entrepreneur at 50 and go full throttle. It's, it's a lot. So I get it. And I empathize with that. And I think if you're wanting sales, how does kindness support sales? Couple of reasons that you would want it in your business. One, it completely helps with mental health for all of the people that work inside your organization. So if you want to have people feeling better about life, feeling better about work, kindness is the way. If you are wanting to recruit and attract more employees, but I would also argue attract more sales, you want a culture of kindness because it gives meaning to the work that people are doing, or it's a reason for them to buy your product. I'm, currently on the trail for finding companies that want to sponsor our kindness initiatives because they value what kindness can do for a community, a region, a group of people, whatever. So those are two main reasons. I think it also really is one of those things that when we establish a culture of kindness, it makes it a lot easier for people to find us. I don't know how to say this, but I become like a beacon. It's sort of like a lighthouse. And people know that I will respond consistently with a kindness answer, something that is clear. And I call it this: do what you mean what you say, just don't say it mean. And that phrase really works for them. I don't have to say things that are mean, even if I disagree with someone. And so that's part of the puzzle. I'm attracting thousands of people to my beacon.
Yeah, no,
So,
say
and a
that, say
company
that.
will too. Mhm.
Yeah, say that phrase again, because that's a powerful phrase.
I'm going to say it really slow too, because it does have special words. Do what you mean what you say, just don't say it mean.
It's fantastic. Audience, if you got it, I'm actually going to write it down after, and I'll put it in the show notes because and it'll probably pop up in my notes anyways. Because that's powerful. It's so powerful.
And it
So,
feels good. It just feels good.
yeah,
I don't have to say things mean. I have plenty of stories around that where, my
yeah.
patriots would have said it mean. And when I do it differently, the results are 10x better.
Oh,
So,
people always say, the psychologists and people, when you get in a conflict argument, just say something like "I love you" or just be
yes,
quiet. Say nice things as they're yelling at you, and I forget the word. It just slows down the aggression and the
it
attack that
does.
they're doing. It does
Totally
work.
does. It does work.
So what
Yeah.
I'm hearing from you, Lindsay, communication is a huge part of this.
It is. And, it's fun because my father had a stroke when he was 58 years old. And coincidentally, I'm turning 58 this month. So I am now the same age that he was when he had his stroke. And what's fascinating to me, my dad has not really been able to speak, at least not verbally, for 20 plus years.
Hmm.
And here I sit, and my dad is one of the kindest people, and people recognize him as this additional beacon of kindness. And he's literally almost like playing charades every day, if that makes sense.
It
So
does.
communication and connection, I'd almost go, it's about the connection, and it's how you make that connection with your energy. So however that gets communicated, sometimes you can just hold perfectly still and have a
Yeah.
beaming smile on your face. And that communicates that it's okay to approach, not avoid. So that's it. It's actually more simple than we think. You don't have to have the gift of gab that I was given, because I translate for my father and for others a lot what is happening in his world. But it's like, you don't have to have that. You can be a complete introvert and still be a beacon of kindness. And that's
Yeah.
what I love. Yeah.
It's a great story. God bless your dad. What's
Thank
your
you.
dad's name?
Jack.
Shout out to you, Jack. Keep doing what
Yeah.
you're doing, my friend. That is so powerful.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he sounds like it. So this is all good. I'm, kind of, I think we were dealing with the big companies with this,
Mhm.
but there's a small business that's got 3 employees and the owner. Can this still be powerful there too?
Probably even more so.
Oh,
I think it's more powerful. Not to get into any religion where some people do, I don't know why, but it's not about religion. It's just the statement that Jesus made, which was, where 2 or more are gathered, there am I. And when I see that, what I notice is that a kindness exchange between 2 people truly is a gift to everyone around it. And if you do like I do, which is spend some time really observing the kindness that takes place in this world, it will blow your mind how much more of that there is than the negative. But you have to be intentional, right? And not everybody wants to go, Lindsay, I'm not going to spend my whole day doing that. It's like, well,
yeah.
I will just tell you, if you want to re-energize yourself, if you want to have better mental health, you want to feel good about your life and feel more gratitude and joy and harmony, just go looking for it. Look for the kindness. Kindness is love in action. That's it, period.
Love and action.
And
That's so great.
it's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So what I do in my business, I have kindness currency. It's a little coin. It's a gold coin. It's not made of real gold, but it's covered with gold kind of. And these coins, I am watching everywhere I go. And anytime I experience watching someone who's exemplifying kindness, I give them a coin. And I thank them for doing something right. And for being the kind person. I call it, you are one of a kindness. And I really believe that. Each one of us is a kindness. And if that's all we did all day, every day, is thank people, feel grateful, engage, and watching how they do it well, I will tell you, we'll have a different world, completely different world. In very short.
Amen. Amen. That's what serving heart is all about. I'm actually going to borrow that because I'm faith, and people know that know me. I call it God's currency. Every time I serve somebody with resources, I'm building my God's currency. And when I knock that door in heaven, and I hope I have a legacy of lots of coins. I'm gonna do that. We'll talk
I'm
later.
going to send you one. I'll send you some coins, Steve. You need them.
I would love to have them because I think. No, I'm going to strike that. I know if you recognize that, because I know, and I don't want to talk about me, it's about you, but the kindness thing is like, you walk in church, I say this all the time, and there's a beautiful bow on a baby, and you go, well, that's such a cute baby with a beautiful bow. Be authentic, of course.
Yes.
You just changed that mother's life for 5 seconds, 5 minutes,
100%.
whoever. You just brought kindness in a servant's heart. I'm not going to make any money off her, but the universe will hear it. And guess what? The kindness is the same thing as a servant's heart. That's why you're on this show, because you definitely have a servant's heart.
I 100% have a servant's heart. And I just have realized somewhere along the trail, kindness is the way. That's it for me. It isn't maybe for everyone. I can't say that for sure, but boy, do I see what happens. And just like you said, commenting on a mother baby's bow, like beautiful, and she feels good. Now watch how a mother interacts with her son or daughter, and then acknowledge her for the kindness she showed to her kid. And she will remember that for a week and behave differently because somebody saw it. As opposed to, we let that stuff go. We just go, isn't that cute? Isn't that nice? I don't. I jump right in and go, gosh, that was amazing. A great story about a young man who was 13 years old on a cruise ship with his family, clearly bored out of his mind, rolling his eyes. 13-year-olds, not so much. This is not their jam. But I'll tell you what, that kid held a door open for an elderly woman who was using a walker. And he smiled from ear to ear and just said, here you go, ma'am. I mean, he was the sweetest young man, just so kind to her. And I watched this all happen. So I walked up to him while he's standing there with his parents. And I said, I wanted to acknowledge you for the kindness that you extended to that woman by holding her door. You made her day. That kid, for the remainder of the cruise, was holding the door for just about everybody that came through.
Yeah,
he was rewarded for what we want him to be. Is not necessarily the door holder, but for doing the right thing for someone else. Servant heart.
Yeah, and people, I know some people would go, well, you don't want to reward people for things, but reward leads to more action, to paying it forward, like a servant's heart. And I didn't even think about a coin, so you got my mind going, which is great. And the great thing about kindness too, it's inspiration. I could tell when you did that story, you're inspired yourself. So who inspires you right now?
Oh man, so many people. Obviously my dad, my mom, parents, they're amazing. And they've been there my whole life with support and inspiration. But, setting that aside, I think a lot of people who are inspiring me right now are people like you, Stephen, who are willing to jump out there, tell the stories, and give life to more inspiration, because that's what we need. I look at Imaginals as being somewhat trapped in these caterpillar situations, sometimes not even realizing that they're missing their call. And the more they get inspired, the more they recognize, gosh, I have been thinking about writing that recipe book. I really got to get on that. That is going to help change what we experience in this lifetime. So no matter what it is, whatever you are, audience, listener, be the best one. That is what you're here to be. Everything else is kind of gravy and extra. It's part of the game, whatever you want to call it. So find your way. And that's what I love about this, is it's so easy, really. The other day I came up with a tagline because my friends were like, what about kindness is so great? And I said, it really is that simple. It just is so simple. And yet we want to make it huge and overwhelming. It doesn't have to be. It just doesn't have to be. So
I love that you said that, because I tell people serving and kindness is simple. The hard part is taking the action.
Yes.
In your mind to remember to do it. Me and you, right away, we can think of those, how to serve, how to be kindness. I think they come together. Serving and kindness are all really one package.
It is. It's awesome.
Oh God, this is so great. And the transformation is powerful. And what I'm hearing too is the caterpillar really dies and is rebirthed into a butterfly. That's what you're saying.
That's it. That's what happens. You have to let go of the old, whatever is no longer serving you, the real you. And a lot of the real you takes a little chipping and some whacking and some, hard knocks to really get to the core of the real you. And some people get it really early in life. God bless them, yay, because they have a huge undertaking of, where they're going to go as a butterfly. And some of us, it takes 40 years or more,
Yeah.
And some never heed the call. And that's okay too. It's really a beautiful thing to be a caterpillar as well. So I'm not making caterpillars wrong. Butterflies aren't better than caterpillars. They're just different. And it's amazing how much they are transformed from the same matter into something different. I think
amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's the process. They're part of the process. If you didn't have a caterpillar, you don't have a butterfly. So they're all connected somehow. We got a few minutes left, so I'm going to get personal. I'm going to ask you some questions personally. So, and by the way, what's the name of your podcast? I know you have a podcast.
The podcast is called Amplify Kindness, and you can find it on YouTube under Imagine Kindness, which is the project that we've created for this umbrella. So Amplify Kindness is the podcast.
Okay. What one person, if you had a dream world, would you like to interview on your podcast, and why?
This is going to sound really, really funny, but it's Keith Urban.
No,
and I know it's funny, but part of what's happening right now with kindness is that I'm putting together music and kindness. They seem to want to come together. And I notice that when I'm at concerts and shows, and I've spent a lot of time at them, there's no race, religion, cultural barriers of any kind. Everyone is there because their band or whatever is on stage and they're listening to music that transforms them internally. They feel good. Presumably they feel good. So Keith Urban was one of those musicians that a long time ago, I went to his concert. And the thing that really stuck with me is how much he loves his fans. Like literally loves his fans. He does play beautiful music, but he engages in ways that most other musicians and acts don't do. And so at that time, I thought to myself, God, I'd really love to talk to that guy. I want to know what he thinks about, because he's a servant with his music and he does some amazing things. And there are many like him. So don't get me wrong. I just interviewed today on my podcast a brand new artist who has that same heart and soul and is in Nashville at the moment. So, you never know. It all goes full circle, but Keith was an avatar for the musician with heart. And that's who I want to talk to. It's somebody who's a servant through music.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, this has been an incredible show. I thank you so much. I mean, I get notes and my head's spinning, and which is great. I'm sure the audience as well. But speaking of the audience, how can they get a hold of you?
Okay. The very best way to get a hold of me is to come to my website, which is imaginekindness.org. And you can sign up to be part of our kindness crew on Facebook /groups/Imagine Kindness. So if you're really looking to be part of a volunteer organization that's going to go global, and a group that really believes in the pillars of kindness and what we're doing out here, we'd love to have you. That's exactly where we want you to be. So
yeah, and jump on that Facebook. What a great, you're a true servant's heart. And I'm so happy you came on. This has been great. And audience, don't forget about the forward and reverse buttons on the podcast platform. I say this because I hear people say, hey, I love your podcast, but I don't have 20, 25 minutes, 26 minutes. Well, if 5 minutes of this podcast changes your life and develops kindness, a skill, which I think is the skill, me and Lindsay are going to be extremely happy. We'd love for you to watch and listen to the whole show. Yeah. But if 5 or 8 minutes change your life or change somebody else's life, we're going to be super happy.
Yes.
Don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Lindsay's a true message of that message, which didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. I'd love for you to, I'd love for you to send that message out on your shirts, t-shirts, hats. I have those in the show notes. Go ahead and buy one. And I want people to share this message. Yes. Servant's heart, kindness. And me and Lindsay are going to do some big things together. She doesn't know that yet, but
get out there and do it. That's all I can
yeah,
say.
thank you. Let's do it. And
Mhm.
we thank you all. Don't forget to comment on YouTube, my podcast platform. And I'll get those comments to Lindsay and I'll connect you with her so you can talk to her. And we thank you so much for listening or watching this podcast. Me and Lindsay are so happy that you took the time, and we look forward to see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.